Hey guys, so following on from my recent TikTok and Instagram video where I talked about when you're stuck in the divorce process. Normally for two reasons. The first reason being you don't know where the other side live. Second reason being you know where they live and you've served them, but they're not happy to sign the paperwork and return it back to the court. So you're stuck in the process for that reason. Let's deal with the first reason first. You don't know where they live. My suggestion is going to be exhaust all potential avenues. So social media, family and friends. Have you got an email for them? Do you know their phone number? Do you know where they work? Do you know where they potentially drink regularly? Exhaust all avenues in trying to find an address for them. If you have an email address, potentially email them a copy of the divorce petition, okay? If you can at least get the divorce petition to them and prove that you have served them, then obviously you can move on to the next step. If you've exhausted all avenues with the parts that I've written in red and you can't get any further forward, the next suggestion I would make is an inquiry agent. You can Google an inquiry agent and get one that's relatively close to where you live. As long as you've got their name and their date of birth and a rough idea of where they may be living, even if it's the last area where you were aware that they were living, an inquiry agent can potentially do some searches for you and find an address. And I've had a couple of clients that have had great success with an inquiry agent, and the inquiry agent turned up fairly quickly an address where they were living. If all that fails and you can show the court that you've exhausted every option, the next option available to you is the disclosure order, okay? And that's where you'll make an application to the court and you'll do a statement in support of your application listing everything that you've tried, social media, family, friends, work, email, etc. You simply cannot find them. What the disclosure order will do is enable the court to contact the government departments with the name of the respondent and their date of birth and find the address for you. Now, the court won't give you that address, but what the court will do is serve the divorce petition for you. So they'll keep that address confidential, but they will serve it for you. So you've got to the stage where you need to make the disclosure order. Do you need to instruct a solicitor? It's a difficult one because in order to make a disclosure order, you've got to complete the D11, which is just a standard application. You've got to do a statement in support and you have to submit a draft order in Word format, okay? If you think that you can do that yourself and you won't actually find precedents out there on the internet, or if you do, they're probably not going to be, suitable really, by all means do it yourself. If you can't do particularly the statement in support and the draft order, contact a solicitor. It doesn't mean that you have to instruct the solicitor, ongoing. You might just find, I will do it for some of my clients. I will just do that piece of work for them and I will just charge them an hour and a half, however long it's going to take me just to do that work for them and then, pass it back to them again. But essentially, that's what you need to do in order to make a disclosure order application to the court. So the second part of the question was, what if I have served them, but they just won't sign the divorce paperwork and send it back, which then prevents you as the petitioner from moving on to make application for the decree nisi. I did a TikTok video on this last week, but more than happy to go over it again. As I said last week, it depends what your divorce petition is based upon, okay? If it's based upon 2 years separation by consent, you're going to have to withdraw that petition and submit a new one because you have to have their consent, which means they have to sign the paperwork and send it back. If it's based on their adultery, you're going to have to withdraw that divorce petition and send in a new one based on something else because, again, with adultery, they have to sign the divorce paperwork and send it back. And a lot of you saw that I put dissertation last week instead of desertion. For those of you that don't know, I'm also a lecturer at Bristol University and I was all in lecture mode that day, so apologies for that. But desertion, when we're looking at divorce, we very rarely do a divorce petition based on desertion anyway. If you have based it on unreasonable behaviour or 5 years separation, then as long as you have some way of proving that they've received the divorce petition, you don't need them to sign. Now, how do you prove that? You can engage a process server who will serve it for you, and they can serve them at work, in the pub, at their home, at a friend's house, whatever. As long as they serve that person, process server will then give you a statement to say they've been served. You could use a court bailiff to serve them the court paperwork. You can, if they have emailed you or text you to say, I've received it and I'm not going to sign it. I've received it and I've put it in the bin, whatever that might be. We can then do, as long as we've got the evidence of the text or the emails that you've received, an application for deemed service, where we're saying to the court, they haven't signed the paperwork and sent it back, but actually here's evidence that they have received it. Can we therefore go on and apply for our decree nisi? So deemed service application is another way that you can move the process on. So I hope all of that helps, guys, and it just moves you through the divorce process if you find yourself a little bit stuck.